Vice Minister, Excellencies, colleagues and friends, sometimes numbers can be devastating. Every 4 minutes, a woman in Germany is assaulted by her husband or partner or ex-partner. Worldwide, every single second, 8 women are physically assaulted. That's now and now and now. But we are not talking about numbers. We are talking about human beings. 8 in a second. That's no number. That's always a mother, a daughter, a sister. It could be anyone. It could be you. It could be me. In this council, we hail from all regions of the world. But none of us, no country on the planet, has managed to completely eradicate gender-based violence. If we want to change that, each of us needs to start at home. As also my Brazilian colleague has put so precisely on other human rights. Germany, my country, therefore has just presented its human rights record to all of you in the Universal Periodic Review. The 346 recommendations we have received from you address key issues, such as the proportion of women in our labor market, the significant gender pay gap in Germany, and the number of women's shelters in my country. And we take these recommendations very seriously. Frankly speaking, I'm thankful, I'm grateful for them, because they help us to improve our own human rights situation. And sometimes it's helpful to have a view from outside, to learn from one another. So we take those recommendations on board because we know human rights aren't something we can pick and choose. Human rights are neither something Western or Eastern, Southern or Northern. Human rights are indivisible. Human rights are universal. Here in Geneva, in my capital Berlin, as much as in Tel Aviv or in Rafah. In its ruthless attack on Israel on October 7th, Hamas maimed and killed Israeli men, women, children, babies. Hamas specifically targeted Israeli women and girls using sexual violence as a weapon. Like any other country in the world, Israel has the right to defend itself. Like any other country in the world, it must do so within the framework of international humanitarian law and human rights law. The Israeli government must abide by the ICJ's order of 26 January. The same order calls on the Hamas terrorists to finally release all the hostages, to not misuse civilian Palestinian people as a human protection shield. The humanitarian situation in Gaza is simply catastrophic. Mothers like us, like me, running from the fighting, dragging their crying kids behind them, in panic, in despair. Often children wandering the ruins of their homes, barefoot, hungry, alone. I sometimes imagine these were my daughters. We are therefore working with many friends non-stop for a humanitarian pause leading to a humanitarian ceasefire. Civilians must be protected. More aid must get through to the people of Gaza. That's also what I have told our Israeli partners in my 5 trips to the region since October. I did so again only a few days ago. Because human rights are universal. Because a life is a life. In Tel Aviv, in Rafah, and in a Russian penal colony known as Polar Wolf. That's where Alexei Navalny died a few days ago, at the hands of the Russian regime before the eyes of the world. But no one can deny a people their rights forever. Not in the Russian far north and not in Tehran. And I want to be crystal clear to those who claim that calling out violations is an interference in internal affairs. Human rights aren't something Western, Northern, Eastern, or Southern. They are universal. They aren't confined to compass points. They are indivisible. Because, as Margot Friedländer, a 102-year-old Holocaust survivor, recently said, I quote, "There's no Christian blood, no Jewish blood, no Muslim blood. There's only human blood. Human blood of beings, of human beings, not numbers. 8 women in a second. That's always a mother, a sister, a daughter. That's always us. None of us wants to be tortured. None of us wants to be raped. None of us wants to be arrested for showing our hair in public. No woman, and I would guess no men. Yet, in September of last year in Iran, they went after Amita, a young woman who was brutalized for not wearing her hijab on the metro. She died after weeks in a coma. Yet, they went after Zeynep, a schoolgirl, who was arrested at a protest with her friends and raped by a guard. A schoolgirl, like my own daughter, like your daughter. These are just 2 people's fates, 2 lives. But there are thousands whose fate we don't know for sure. In the autumn of 2022, brave Iranian women and men started the Women, Life and Freedom protests. Thousands took to the streets, thousands were arrested. The fact-finding mission established by this council
A missão estabelecida por esse conselho tem investigado a repressão, a violência e os crimes cometidos no Irã desde o início desses protestos. Tem coletado e preservado evidências. E isso dá às vítimas, mulheres, meninas, como nós, uma voz. E é por isso que conclamamos pelo apoio de todos aqui para estender o mandato da missão, para que ele possa concluir o seu trabalho. Porque, francamente, eu acredito que esse é o propósito de estarmos aqui hoje, o propósito desse Conselho de Direitos Humanos. Para a comunidade internacional, para que possamos
An Iranian woman's life is alive. A Russian woman's life is alive. A Palestinian woman's life is alive. An Israeli woman's life is alive. A Chinese woman's life is alive. A South Sudanese woman's life is alive. A German woman's life is alive. Human rights are universal, everywhere. Thank you.